Hey everybody, it's Greg Harrelson here. It is that time for us to get together. Of course, it's Tuesday in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Right now, it's 11:30, and so depending on where you are in the country, of course, it could be varying times. And if you're out on the West Coast, thank you for joining us early. I know it's a little bit earlier, and I'm sure this is a little bit of an interruption to maybe what your schedule needs to be, or at least what you may have on schedule. But I do kind of appreciate the time that you do spend with myself on these live calls. As you can see at the banner below, I'm going to be talking about a program that I created within my office years ago, and I just kind of give you some ideas of what that entails. But I created something called Community Domination. And I said, if somebody really wants to gain market share, I think that there's an effective way to gain market share in a market, one community at a time. So I want to kind of talk about that, how we can actually start dominating a community. I'll define what community domination means, and then I'll start giving you some of the hows to that. I'm checking not my text. I'm just checking to make sure that I can see myself live on the Facebook group, and I do see that it is getting there. It's transmitting. So let's just go ahead and get going here. There we go. All right, and feel free if you have any comments or whatnot. Feel free to put them in, in the stream here, and I'll do my best to address any questions that you might have, and maybe even make some comments on any comments that you have or concerns that you have. So, community domination. What does it mean, and how do I execute? And one of the things that brings us together is how am I using Real Geeks to facilitate and build my domination one community at a time. So community domination, what I mean by that is this, is I feel like someone is dominating the community when they have 20% market share in that community. So there's a few ways that you can look at it. You could look at it and say, hey, in this neighborhood or in this area, there are 10 listings and I've got 2 of them. Okay, that would tell me you've got a 20% market share of the active inventory in that community. That would fit my definition of community domination. Maybe there were 10 sales and you had 2 of them in the last year. That would fit my definition of community domination of 20% market share in that community. In that sense, it would be 20% market share in the form of closings. In the first example, could be 20% market share in the form of active listings, which if you're pricing properties correctly or going back for price reductions timely, then you should have 20%. If you're dominating the inventory, you should be dominating the sales. Safe to say, doesn't happen every single time, but that there is a direct correlation between the two. Now, you could be dominating sales because you seem to be getting a lot of buyer side transactions, which is fantastic, which leads me to how do you pick a community? Well, if you've actually, if you look back and look at your sales for the last year and look and ask yourself, where did you make those sales? Did you make any sales, more than one sale in any particular community? A lot of you are going to say yes to that. Okay, good. Did you have 2 sales in a community? Did you have 3 sales in a community? Some number over one. Identify what communities are you going into most? What communities are you currently most effective in? That's going to be one of the first things that I'm going to look at when I decide, hey, where should I be focusing my attention? Another thing is let's just say that that you haven't had more than one sale in any community in the last year. So, Greg, what do I do then? How would I choose a community? Well, you could choose a community that is in the serviceable market that you want to work, meaning like logistically you're willing to work it. The price point is where you would like, where you're fine with, you're comfortable with that price point. And there's turnover, meaning that there's turnover, like there's properties that are listed and there's properties that sold. I mean, you could like want to dominate a community, but if there's only one sale in that community every year, then you've got to have to make one sale, you've got to dominate it by 100% market share. That's not likely. So you want to see like there's around 6 to 8% turnover in a community. So there's 100 homes. You want to see 6% of those homes are turning over as a minimum. That tells you there's turnover. If there's not turnover, it's going to be hard to dominate. Because the percent that you have to own of market share is so high, it's just not realistic. It's almost an uncontrollable that you're just doomed in the beginning. So you're looking for communities that you've either had multiple sales in. That means you have a great story, or you're looking for communities that have good turnover, better than some of the other communities. So then you're going to there is some sort of benefits to you putting forth effort. So community domination, by Greg's definition, is 20% market share of either the active inventory and or the closings in the last 12 months. How do you choose a community is based on your results in the last 12 months in that community and or the amount of turnover. Look for communities in your serviceable market that have good turnover. And if you're sitting here saying, well, there's a lot of listings in this community, but nothing's selling, don't run away from those communities, because that just tells me there's a lot of sellers that want to sell, but they're uninformed by their real estate agents. There's a lot of real estate agents that are taking those listings, not informing them correctly. Therefore, the sellers they're sitting, they're not selling. But a good real estate agent, you can come into a community like that and start telling the truth about pricing to the sellers that you're talking to. Next thing you know, you'll own that market because you'll be the only one selling. Now, real quickly after you start stimulating the market, the other agents will start adjusting their prices. And now you would be the cause of that market turning over, but you're going to lead the charge, not follow. So that's me setting up kind of like the groundwork there for community domination, as in what is it and how do you choose a community. I'm gonna spend probably the rest of the time now I'm gonna spend on sharing with you, okay, well, what do you actually do to create such a dominating market share? Okay, that's where we are now in today's conversation. So the first thing that I'm going to do, and I've done many sessions on this. A lot of you know that I have a coaching program called Real Geeks Mastery, and one of the things that I really teach a lot about in Real Geeks Mastery is how to generate seller leads for communities that actually convert at a rate of 10% in 12 months. So these are quality seller leads in specific communities that I want to dominate that convert at 10% conversion over a 12-month period of time, which means you've got to follow up with them in order to get a good conversion, but they are convertible because they do go on the market with it. About 10% of them go on the market in 12 months. So if anybody wants to further their education on Real Geeks and all the different things that we're doing to really build a lot of seller leads, convert our buyer leads, consider joining Real Geeks, Real Geeks Mastery Coaching. But one of the things that I coached on, and I've done some extensive videos on, even did a webinar for you all for free on this subject. You could find it within Real Geeks, and that's how to generate seller leads. And what I can do is I can take databases that I can build. I can build databases, like go to ExactDial and build databases, exactdial.com, one of Abe's businesses that I work with him on. But I can then take communities and I can get all the data, like their email addresses and telephone numbers for the communities. Then I can go into Real Geeks and create what's my home worth ads, but I can target a custom audience where I can target just that one community. I don't have to do a geographic target within Facebook based on Facebook's rules and parameters. I can specifically target ads to only that one neighborhood. And I can drive all these people to like find out what their property's worth. And in Real Geeks, they'll show up to me as potential leads or full leads. They show up as leads within Real Geeks. And then what I can do at that point is think about what I'm doing. I'm taking a raw list of homeowners. I'm finding their emails and their telephone numbers and then instituting a Facebook custom audience ad to that neighborhood. I'm driving people to Real Geeks signing up for What's My Home Worth that are only for that one neighborhood. And then as they come in, now I'm building my database for that neighborhood. Now, if you're one of those people that like to generate through prospecting, you could take that same list and you could just do some just sold calls, and you could start establishing rapport and relationships with all the people in that neighborhood. You could go do an open house and start knocking doors on all those neighborhoods and start building your database within Real Geeks, and tag that or name that database the name of the community. So if the community's name was Greenville Heights, you would have that labeled and sourced or tagged inside of Real Geeks as Greenville Heights, meaning anybody that has that tag is a property owner in that particular Greenville Heights neighborhood. So I'm kind of creating segmentation inside of Real Geeks. I'm building specific neighborhood communities within Real Geeks, and then every single one of them, I'm going to activate a market activity report within Real Geeks to deliver them that report every single month for their community, not for their city, not for their zip code, for their community. Now, some of you may be saying, yeah, but I don't have a lot of named communities in my area. Okay, then in that case, maybe you do a city, or you do an area, or you do a zip code. You narrow it down to the most granular or specific search you can send them based on what you're dealing with. In my case, we have plenty of named communities or buildings, so I can do it specifically based on that. That's it, period. So therefore, I do it. Now what I've got is a neighborhood of 300 people. I do a custom audience. I do this for a couple months in a row. And next thing you know, I've gotten 125 of them opted into my Real Geeks website. I've now set up market activity reports for every one of them. I've set up sold reports for every one of them. I've put them in HomeBot, and they're getting a HomeBot digest for every one of them. And then I create an email once a month with a video embedded in the email, and it's a market report specifically for that community. And it could go like this. Hey, it's Greg Harrelson here with Century 21, the Harrelson Group. Just wanted to touch base with you. As you know, I like to be a good resource for you, for all the homeowners in Greenville Heights. And let me just share with you what's been going on in the neighborhood for the last 30 days. And then I give them some market stats for the neighborhood. Very simple, 3-minute video, embed that in an email. And then I do that every single month. They get a market report. They get a HomeBot report. They get a sold report. They get a video from me every single month. Every one of those things are coming out of Real Geeks except the HomeBot report. Right there, I just shared with you 4 different reports. Everything is automatic except the email that I create a video for. So only work that I have to do once I get this going. So now I've got those 4 things going out. That's 48 touches a year. That's pretty much set it and forget it automation, with the exception of the creation of my video. Matter of fact, today I just created a video for my next email that I'm getting ready to send out. Probably send it out on Monday or Tuesday of next week, but I just recorded the video earlier. Some additional things, because we're talking about community domination. How do we dominate? So you can see how I'm starting to build up my domination plan. Now, I'm not a big proponent of coaching people to go spend a bunch of money. I like to share with you how to do things, use technology, or use your personal skills to build your business so you can be very profitable. But there are a few other things that you can be doing to really enhance the domination plan. And that is this. You know what? Hold an open house at least 6 times a year in that community. And then prior to you starting the open house, knock on 20 to 30 doors and invite people to the open house. Inform them, hey, you know what? I just want to let you know there might be some additional traffic through the community. I'm holding an open house. So some of that traffic might come from, the people that I've invited to the open house. Just kind of wanted to let you know what's going on. Also, I've got a flyer here. If you'd like to, just take a look at the open house, I welcome you to just come over, see what your neighbor's house looks like and kind of get an idea, feel for the market, please. If you know anyone else, please send them over. That's all you're doing. Can you imagine how nice people are going to be if that's what you're doing. You're letting them know that the additional traffic is coming from the open house. That means you're sharing with them, hey, look, I got a lot going on. This is what I do for sellers. You're kind of sending them that message, but you're just providing a nice service as a friendly neighbor, building rapport. Oh, by the way, are you getting my market activity reports that I send out to the community? No, I haven't seen those. Oh, okay, what's your email? Now you're adding to your database. See how we can slowly build up a database specifically for that community. Do that open house 6 times a year, once every 2 months. Now, if you have a listing every month, do it once every month, but I'd say a minimum of once every 6 months. I mean, 6 a year, once every 2 months, even if you have to ask somebody else to hold an open house on their listing. It allows you to get into the community, build rapport, become a household name for that neighborhood. That's how we start dominating. Then you do a direct mail piece. You can do a direct mail piece informing them of all the sales and the prices of those sales that have hit the market or gone on the market or happened in the market in that neighborhood. And you do that every 2 months, 6 times a month. Remember the other things that we're using within Real Geeks plus HomeBot is 48 touches. And we just added another 12 touches. There's 60 touches. And the last one here is a quarterly call. It's a quarterly call. Once a quarter, you call through your database. Hey, just wanted to touch base with you. I've been keeping you informed what's going on in the market. Have you been keeping, have you been keeping up to date as to what's going on with prices in the community? No, man, Greg, tell me what is going on. Now you're in a conversation. Now you'll at some point say, hey, look, I'm just kind of curious. In any chance that you're putting some thought to selling that this year? When do you plan on selling? Sure, you can get to that conversation. That you just don't have to ask that question on the front end because we're playing the long game. This is called community domination. How we're going to blend Real Geeks technology with agent activities to dominate one community at a time. See, if you actually took 5 communities, just do one though. But if you actually got one down and then you duplicated it for another and another and another, and you did this for 5 communities and you ended up with 20% or more market share in 5 communities, you're actually starting to see that as an agent, your market share overall is starting to increase. Now, market share increases is just another way to measure progression, to measure number of sales, to measure how well you're doing in the marketplace. I mean, you could just measure total sales, but it's hard to focus on your market, your entire MLS to be your farm. So a lot of you have heard of people talk about this, and it's definitely, when I first came into the business, it was talked about a lot more. Farming was the word. But farming kind of, for the newer agents and people in the business now, it's kind of like old school. That's what the dinosaurs did. That's what the old agents did. They farmed. The only thing that's really changed with farming is we change in the name so then it doesn't have a negative connotation to it, but it's still farming. And we're also, the thing that we're changing is we're starting to blend in technology with old traditional ways, combining new technology with old ways of doing business, like the open houses and the direct mail and the knocking on doors. Those are kind of the older ways. Now we're keeping those, but blending in technology that I just explained with Real Geeks. And I call it community domination, but it's all farming. In farming, if you think about what was farming, what in the world is farming? Farming is nothing more than choosing a geographical area that you would like to specialize in, get to know everyone that owns in that area, make sure everybody knows you in that area, and make sure everybody sees you as an authority and as a resource for them. When you know everybody in that neighborhood and everybody knows you in that neighborhood and everyone sees you as an authority and everyone sees you as a resource over your competition, congratulations. you're now dominating that community. Real Geeks often is looked at as and websites in general is looked at as, oh, they're just ways to capture leads. I can organically capture some leads. I can buy some ads through PPC and capture some leads. I mean, I personally use Real Leads, so I'm doing PPC to produce some leads through the Real Geeks program. And so there's various programs out there, but it's the one that I'm using. And I'm doing all those things to capture new leads. I'm using Real Geeks to nurture my leads. I'm using Real Geeks to identify opportunities within my database. But Real Geeks can be used for so many more reasons, or so many more ways. I'm also using Real Geeks to dominate one community at a time. This is actually what I do for my real estate agents. I put them in position to be able to do this as real estate agents. The users within my Real Geeks account are my real estate agents within my company, my team or my brokerage. A lot of people more refer to me as a team bridge because I'm kind of a blend. But I'm setting all these things up, enabling my real estate agents to dominate one community at a time. This is what we're doing. I hope you find this helpful because I mean, what I'm trying to do is expand your minds as to what you can possibly do. This is how we use Real Geeks to get a boatload of listings. So hopefully you'll kind of take my recommendation and please just, hey, look, you can actually go to, I think it's called, there it is right there, rgmastery.com. Just like type in rgmastery.com and just check out my coaching program. Hey, look, there's no contracts. It's low cost. It's a live call every single week with myself and my partner, Lindsay, who's, handles all of my Real Geeks accounts. So she's technically very, very sound when it comes to helping you all out with technical aspects, your challenges with Real Geeks. I'm coaching you on the vision and how to orchestrate and build your business at a much greater level. And then there's over 100 archive videos of subjects that I've already done that you can go in and you can learn exactly how to do things within Real Geeks. So if you find that that might be useful for you, check out rgmastery.com. There's no contract. So if you don't like it after a month, just cancel. No big deal. Anyways, I hope you all find that that's helpful. I just really hope that you'll go out there and take something, just take one thing today. Maybe you don't institute the entire domination plan today. But I tell you what, do yourself a favor and take one nugget from today, execute it, tune in next week, take one more nugget, and then over time, look, if we just get 1% better every day, that'll compound to amazing growth over time. Thank you so much, everybody, for continuing to tune in. I hope you found some value, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.